I decided to start a new business doing go-to-market or GTM consulting for seed to Series A companies. And I documented my first week building my new business in my last vlog. And in this vlog, I am going to show you and take you behind the scenes of getting my first customers. I'm starting this go-to-market consultancy because I have 15 plus years of accumulated experience working on multi-billion dollar brands, as well as working with startups and also growing and scaling my own startups as well. I was telling an entrepreneur friend of mine, for so long, it felt like I had all the puzzle pieces and I knew what the puzzle was supposed to look like, but for some reason the puzzles just weren't fitting together. Now I feel like I have all the puzzle pieces. I switched some pieces out because some pieces just weren't working, and I know what the puzzle looks like and it's all fitting now. So it just feels so good. I feel like I have the wind in my sails, and I'm really excited to document this next chapter of the business where it's like, okay, I know what I want to do. I have the idea. I'm starting to do the scary thing, but how do I actually get my first customers? In my first vlog, I talked about the experience of knowing when to start a thing, knowing what that thing looks like, knowing what problem you're solving, what pain point you're solving, what product and offer you can put together. After that comes the question, okay, but how do I get my first customers and how do I make money? How I'm going to get my customers is by following the strategies and tactics I teach my clients, which are to really leverage something I like to call beta tests. This is helpful whether you are a service provider like me, or you're starting an app, or you're doing a product. I think you should always have beta testers. And essentially, you're going to offer your product, your service, your offer either for free or for a heavily discounted price in exchange for that person's feedback, their testimonial, using them as a case study, but of course, working out the kinks along the way. They're essentially like your business guinea pig. And then hopefully it goes really well. You get the feedback you want, you improve, you iterate, and then you're able to launch with results, with case studies, with testimonials. I always recommend doing a beta test. And when I started my previous business, a sustainable fashion consultancy, that's exactly what I did. I did 3 beta tests. I work with 3 brands for free, and that's how I was able to build out my network. After I started working with those first brands for free, they wanted to continue because I was able to get them results. There was a lot of word of mouth because they were like, oh my gosh, look at these results I got, and they would tell all their founder friends, and that's how I started getting business. And it's going to be the exact same thing with my new go-to-market consultancy. I am going to do beta tests. With the beta test, though, the key is to execute it correctly. So you want to make sure you are choosing someone that would be your ideal customer, and you're also choosing someone that understands that while this is something that they're either getting for free or for an extremely discounted price, they need to value your time. They need to understand they also need to put effort into it, and they need to give you feedback, and you need to get a case study and all this stuff. It actually takes time to find a good beta test because you also don't want to offer something and like sink so much time, effort, and resources into someone that isn't really going to be a fit. But also on the other hand, I wouldn't stress too much about it as well, because I do think it's important for you to test out the kinks. If you work with someone and you realize, I don't really like working with these people, or you offer someone a product and service and they're like, I don't really know if this is going to add value, at least you've tested it and you haven't just gone out and like sunk so much money in inventory, or you haven't just gone out and like fleshed out this whole offer that no one wants. So I wanted to also walk through how you can execute a beta test. The first step you want to do is to figure out who your ideal customer would be. And if you are still figuring that out, watch my last vlog, or I'll also leave a couple Confessions of a Conscious CEO episodes that you can listen to figure out who that is. But like I mentioned, it is really important to beta test with your ideal customers. Go and seek those people out. You can actually leverage your network. You can leverage LinkedIn. You can just cold email people. That's what I did with my previous business. All this to say, find the right people and take your time, because you are investing a lot of time, energy, and resources into this. So you do just, of course, want to make sure it's a good fit for you. When it comes to the actual beta test, you also want to set boundaries around this. Determine if you're going to do it for free or for a discounted price. I will say, if you don't have a lot of credibility built up in this space yet, I would probably just do it for free. For me, when I was first starting my sustainable fashion consultancy, I went to business school. I have a strong business background. I climbed the ranks in corporate, but I didn't have sustainable fashion specific experience. So I wanted to build that experience, so I worked for free. With this new go-to-market consultancy, I want to be helping seed to Series A startups, probably in the healthcare, D2C, and tech spaces. Theoretically speaking, I have had corporate and startup experience in all those industries. And and I have 15 plus years of marketing, branding, go-to-market experience. In this case, I don't think I necessarily have to do it for free. I could probably do it for a discounted rate. But that being said, I will be offering a free beta test to one of my friends because I do care about him deeply. And I'm actually not going to be doing them all at the same time. I'm going to stagger them because, quite frankly, I just don't have the bandwidth right now to take on 3 either free clients and or heavily discounted clients because I still have clients I'm working with. Also, staggering them allows me to test it and truly guinea pig it with one client, adapt it, and then try it with another client, and then adapt it and really perfect it for the third one so that when I am going into market and charging my regular prices, I can feel really confident. I'm purposefully staggering it right now just from a bandwidth perspective, but also from like a perfecting the product perspective as well. I have 3 beta testing spots, and the first one I'm going to fill with my friend Dan. I'm really excited about that. That's the first beta test. And then for the other 2, I really want to flesh out my healthcare experience because while I have healthcare experience on the corporate side, I don't have specific healthcare startup experience, and I want to round that out. I've worked with hundreds of D2C brands already, so I feel like I have a good handle on that, but I would love to work with some healthcare startups. And so I'm going to do some research on LinkedIn about some startups that are around the phase and growth stage that I would be interested in working with, and then go from there. But that's the plan. I'm going to prep for my session with Dan tomorrow. I will bring you along this week as I get my first customers. I had my first strategy session with my friend Dan, and I was going to include it in this vlog, but we met for over 2 hours and I covered so much ground, so I've decided to split it out into a separate video. I talked to him about how he can further monetize his business and achieve his goal of having a certain amount of reoccurring monthly sales. We worked backwards to figure out how he could achieve those reoccurring monthly sales. I walked through his sales funnel with him, specifically how he can get more traffic, nurture his community, and convert. We talked about building a brand that would work for his community, but also allow him to charge what he needs to charge. So all in all, a lot of value, if I do say so myself. So I would watch the full video after you finish this vlog. I'll leave it down below for you, but definitely check it out because like I mentioned, there's a lot of nuggets in there. I fully intended to do a recap from my strategy sesh with Dan yesterday, but then when I got home, I totally hit a wall because I'm putting together something from scratch. And because it's my first time doing certain things or structuring things in certain ways, and also it's a friend of mine, so I also want to give him a lot of value and go above and beyond. Because of all of that, it's definitely tiring and taxing, and that's okay. Instead of being hard on myself, being like, oh, I should have recapped yesterday, and I feel like that would be nice, it's fine, I can do it today, and it's not a big deal at all. And in fact, it's actually better because I had some time to let my ideas marinate and fully flesh out my thoughts and feelings. I really am so glad I did this beta test because it just really instilled a lot more confidence in me. I had a suspicion that this is the path I was supposed to go on, but of course, until you test it, you don't really know. Doing this beta test, I was able to test that A, I know what I'm talking about, I can provide value, but also B, this is something I like to do. I just felt like I was in flow, I was just really enjoying it. But from a value perspective, it just reinforced the fact that I can bring things to the table and I can move the needle in businesses because my friend Dan is super accomplished. He has been in incubators and accelerators before. He's obviously raised money and worked with advisors and mentors and consultants before. I wanted to make sure that I could come in, still teach him things and still be able to provide value and strategy because a lot of these people he's working with, they've been in the VC space for years and years and years. And so sometimes I feel like if we're new to an industry or new to a space, we can have a lot of self-sabotaging behaviors and be low on confidence. But again, like I always say, your skill sets are things that people cannot take away from you. And you can pick up skill sets and different experiences, different industries, and then apply them to new ones. And it's not like you're starting from scratch again. And in fact, you might actually have different perspectives and you might have different viewpoints and different experiences you can draw on that will set you apart. I think that's very much the case for me. I feel like the other thing that was really interesting was that there's concepts that obviously everyone knows in business and in marketing and in go-to-market. it, but I was able to explain things in a way where Dan just gets it. That's so important because it's one thing to know what you're supposed to do, but then it's another to actually understand how you can apply it and utilize it and leverage it in your business and actually turn it into action. And so I'm really happy I was able to help him unlock parts of that and help him put things into practice. So all this to say, I think it was just really, really nice because it reinforced that this is the work I truly love doing. But not only that, I am good at it and I can provide value, and boosted a lot of my confidence, which is something I didn't really expect because I already went into this knowing that I have the skill sets and the expertise and I have all this experience behind me. But I do think doing something and then having validation that you're good at it and that people are getting stuff out of it obviously is nice and can build that confidence. It's a nice byproduct of a beta test. So to tack on to my earlier points about beta tests, another benefit is also I think you just build a lot more confidence as you start to work with more and more people. You can truly recommend things with conviction. Of course, you still need to listen to the client and adapt things and customize things, but you just have a lot more confidence in yourself. And I really think that's priceless. And I also think that doing these beta tests, you can work out systems and processes and kinks. Like I mentioned, yesterday's session, while it was so invigorating and I loved it so much and I love supporting founders, and of course, I love supporting my friends, it still was a lot for me emotionally. So just knowing that in this season, as I'm starting to build up my clientele, as I'm working with more clients, and of course in this season when I'm trying to go above and beyond because I want to make sure every single client's happy, I can start to build word of mouth and referrals and build up my reputation. This is a season where I need to be really boundaried and protective with my time and my energy. And I also need to be very mindful and thoughtful about how many clients I take on. That's why I'm glad I've decided to do 3 beta tests. And like I mentioned, not do them all at the same time, but stagger them so that I can learn, but also manage my mental capacity and energy. Because also with this new go-to-market consulting firm, I'm not only doing strategy stuff, but I'm also potentially helping clients execute. And so that will take a lot of time as well. Yeah, all this to say, I am really, really happy I did the beta. I just wanted to pop in and just give you a recap of yesterday's session. Welcome back to my bathroom. I am in the process of getting ready to film some videos today. And I previously already kind of went through my makeup routine. It's very amateur, but I did that in the last vlog. So if you're curious, you can go back and watch that vlog. But today I'm just going to do my makeup and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how I feel about my birthday that just happened, because I am going to be filming a birthday reflection video / what I learned in the last year today. So in the mood to just chat about that. And then I also wanted to say that I have a different angle in the bathroom now. So I have attached this magnetic thingy onto the mirror. And then for my Osmo Pocket case, there's like a magnet on the back. So I can just stick this on here. And then I can have this cool angle now. Whereas before, I was just sticking you on the back of my magnet of my vanity mirror. Our vanity is like so messy right now, so please don't judge. But yeah, it was just like sticking you guys to that. So it wasn't the best angle. You were just like looking at our shower. This is the true behind the scenes. The vanity is quite narrow, so I got these like little cosmetic case things, and it really helps. And yeah, this is some of my skincare I'm using right now. I am a big Caudalie lover. I got so much Caudalie when I was in Paris last time. Always loved La Roche-Posay. And then my friend got me this vitamin C in Korea, which I've been really liking. And I have been using this Medicube device over the past year or so. My friends got it for me for my birthday, but This is the real, okay? It's a little bit messy, but these containers saved my life because otherwise stuff would just keep falling out. So yeah, it was not the vibe. But anyways, I hope this comes off when we move out. I think I should. It's just like a little sticker on the back. But this is dedication to the vlog, guys. I'm going to stick you on my new sticker. And yeah, I hope it stays. My worst fear is that it's going to fall off. It's going to break my camera, but I think it should be fine. So I'm getting ready because I am filming a birthday reflection video like I mentioned. And every single year on my birthday, I inevitably have a self-induced existential crisis / crash out. So my birthday's at the beginning of July, but as soon as mid-June hits, I start to spiral and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to turn another year older in a few weeks. What have I done? You know, and it's just like all these thoughts of always just feeling behind, I guess. And there's been some birthdays where I've been like, oh, I'm so proud of what I've done and I feel like I've done so much. And the last time I kind of felt like that was when I had quit my corporate job and pursued my last business, Belated, full time, and then decided to finally take the plunge and move to London because it had been a lifelong dream to kind of live abroad in Europe. And moving to London was something that me and my partner talked a lot about. Like we spent almost a year talking about it. We got into this master's program at Oxford and COVID happened, and so he actually rejected his acceptance to Oxford, which is crazy. He pushed back everything by a year. He applied again, got in again, which is great. And then yeah, we moved a year later. So I feel like that birthday, I felt like I had grown so much and I had just made so many moves to build the life that I wanted. So I felt really, really pleased with that birthday. Backing up, I just turned 31, but last year when I turned 30, I had another big crash out. And it was a bunch of random stuff. I feel like it was partially because turning 30, there's a lot of expectation around that and what you think 30 is going to look like in your head. You know, have a house, have maybe a family or whatever it is. And my partner really actively chose not to follow what society prescribes for a few years. For me, I didn't have a 9-to-5 job for a couple of years. I was an entrepreneur. We moved abroad. We were definitely living our best lives. We were traveling. It was just very different from the lives that our friends were having back home. And it's not to say one's better than the other, but just in this season, in this era of life, we really wanted to push ourselves and allow ourselves to do something that we've always wanted to do because we both want kids, we want to start a family, and this was the quote-unquote last chance we could do something like this before our kids turned 18 and went off to university or whatever it is. And in this small sliver of window where I can still be 100% selfish and he can as well, and so that's why we did it. I think because we were actively going against the grain of society, something we had actively chosen, but then also at the same time, I still weirdly had a crash out where I was like, oh my gosh, behind all this stuff. So yeah, that was last year. And then as you know, I also went through a career pivot, business pivot, where I just realized the business model and the market I was serving with my last business just wasn't working anymore. So it was just a lot of stuff at once, a lot of feelings at once. After my 30th birthday, I felt a lot better. I made a plan to do something different with my business, try something else, go into exploration. And then once a year passed and my birthday hit again, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've made no progress. I feel like last year I said I was going to try all these different things. And I did try a bunch of stuff, but it just took a little bit longer. And I also feel like I was working through a lot of mindset stuff. I was rebuilding confidence again, a lot of stuff at once. And in my last vlog, I basically shared that I'm doing go-to-market consulting now. It's been something that has been on my mind for the past few months, but I finally took the plunge in the last vlog. And then in this vlog, as you know, we're actually doing it. We're trying to get our first customers, doing all this stuff. But I feel like every single year, my birthday is this trigger for me to reevaluate where I am in life, reevaluate if I like the path I'm on, if I like the goals I've set out for myself, look at the progress and stuff. And so I guess in that case, it's nice because I like to reevaluate every January, like everyone else, new year, new me, all that stuff. But then in July, it's another good opportunity 6 months later to kind of do a refresh. So I know I call it like a self-induced existential crisis / crash out, but it kind of is like a good board meeting with yourself or like a check-in with yourself. So I'm rambling a bit, but basically all this to say I had a crash out, had some real conversations with myself about the fact that I actively chose this life. Like I actively chose to move halfway across the world, and I love it, and I would not change a thing. We're going to be moving back soon, so we're going to be moving back and, looking at property, getting married next year, settling down, doing all the things. So we're still going to be doing all the things that I want to do, but we just took a bit of a pause and lived our best life for 3.5 years. And honestly, it's the best decision I ever made. I think it's just like realizing again, like age is just a number, it doesn't really matter, and it's okay. So I'm going to do my eyeliner now. I'm going to pause. If you watched the last vlog, like my eyeliner situation is very dire, very dicey. So pause, I will be back. Okay, we're back. Yeah, I'm excited to kind of get my thoughts into video format and just talk about it and just do a bit of a visual diary for what I did this birthday, because it's probably the last birthday I'll spend in London for the foreseeable future. I'm not going to say forever because who knows, but yeah, for the foreseeable future I won't be here. And one of the best parts about being abroad was the fact that we've just met so many amazing people. And I also think it takes a certain type of person to move to a global city where it is hard to make it happen here. It's kind of like New York. It's an expensive city, rent's pretty expensive, stuff is expensive. Like you need to have a career, you need to have your shit sorted out. And so it's just like the people we've met is super inspiring. Hearing about how people have grown up, learning about their culture, like that's just something that's so priceless. And I'm definitely going to do a separate video once we move back around recapping our time abroad, like how we made the decision to move abroad, how we actually went about it logistically, visas, finding a job, all that stuff. And then I'm also going to be sharing some places we visited in Europe, giving you some of my highlights. And yeah, so I'm going to be doing that separately once we move back. Oops. So my worst nightmare just happened. The thing just fell off. I may not put it on the mirror permanently. I may have to put it on the marble. The sticker's way of telling me to hurry up. It's always right before filming that I break out as well. I usually film maybe like twice a month. Like I'll film 1 week, I won't film another week because I'll be in editing mode, and then I'll film another week. And one of the weeks, I'm usually in my follicular phase, so my skin looks great. And then the other week, I'll be like in luteal and like have active breakouts. But yeah, this is the finished look. I'm going to put some powder on and then we're going to go film. So I'm now going to be doing some filming. As you can see, I have my camera and then I have my microphone. And how my setup works is this isn't a USB microphone, so it needs to go to my audio transmitter thingy. And I am so good at tech that I call it a thingy, but it's just on the ground. This connects into my camera, so then the audio works and I don't have to sync it up later. But I'm going to do some recording now. I just turned 31 and honestly, I am not where I thought I would be. This birthday reflection video and mini vlog is so special to me, so if you want to watch it, the full video is out now and I will leave a link to it down below. And then I removed my makeup and made my way over to King's Cross area to play tennis with my friend John. Okay, I'm waiting for my friend John to get here. We're playing tennis today, so I'm just gonna do a little stretch. But yeah, I love the Osmo because I have this case, like a magnetic case, and I just like stuck it onto the gate of the tennis court. So yeah, this works. But we'll try to get different angles. I think I can also stick you to the net, but I'm kind of scared of hitting the camera, so we'll see how it goes. But stretching is so important. After tennis, John and I walked to dinner. We were having a belated celebratory birthday dinner, and our partners met us at this Persian restaurant.
Good, thank you very much. That was good.
As you know, I've been obsessed with Persian food. There's so many good restaurants in London, and this restaurant, Cello, was really good as well. The food was so flavorful and so delicious, so highly would recommend.
Oh my god, that looks so good.
It must have. You know it's free.
Look at you being an influencer.
Thank you so much. I got there excited.
Wow, excited.
These two feels quite gentle.
Okay, perfect.
And of course, we had to end the dinner off with some baklava. The next morning, I went to a Pilates class. This is my favorite studio in East London, and every single time, class is always so hard. And then the rest of the day, I was editing this podcast interview I did with Dr. Stasia Stankovic, and this is such an important episode. She talked about fertility, she talked about what women can do to take better care of themselves. Highly recommend you listen. I'll leave it linked down below. Next day, my partner and I went to the British Library because we had never been before, and we wanted to check it out. On the first floor, there's actually a free museum, and you can see the interior of the library is super nice. But the free museum really impressed me because they have stuff from Leonardo da Vinci, they have stuff from Shakespeare, Jane Austen, and I also thought it was really well curated and they did a good job explaining it and telling the story. Highly recommend if you are in central London and you need something to do. The British Library is also a great place to work and or study. And then we walked around King's Cross area. I love this neighborhood, it's one of my favorites. Made our way over to Coldrops Yard, and we went to Tom Dixon. He's a UK-based furniture designer, and he became famous for his lamps, and he's since expanded. We also went to the market. They have a market every single week, but every third week it's Japanese themed. There were so many different trinkets, food, snacks, so we definitely took advantage. Explored some more, and then we made our way to Brick Lane. We were meeting up with some friends for dinner at Merkamo Vegan, which is this delicious, amazing vegan Ethiopian restaurant. This injera platter is to die for. Shout out to Merkamo Vegan and my friend Alex for introducing it to me. The next day, I went to my friend Yulin's place.
Okay, wow. Oh, cheers. I'm so excited.
You may recognize her. She was on my podcast in a Build With Me episode. She moved to London from New Zealand to start her makeup artist business, and she's going to be doing the makeup for my wedding. We did our trial on this day, and she started by prepping my skin. She has such soothing fingers, it felt like I was at the spa. And then she was making a foundation shade for me. We put that on. She did some concealer, contoured. She then started doing my eyeshadow. She added a wing as well. We decided to experiment with strip lashes on the outer 2/3 of my eye, and I think it looked quite good. And then we cleaned up the bottom part of the eyes. We opted for a lip liner that was really close to my natural lips, and then we put some gloss on top, ended with a powder blush. She added some highlight to my inner corners, added some more powder overall. And then this is the final aftermath. I love how organized her kit is, but it looked like a war zone after. This was the final look. For the actual wedding, we're going to change the blush and eyeshadow color to suit my skin tone, but otherwise, really happy with it, and then we'll continue to work on it for the wedding. I'm editing this vlog right now and realized I never did an outro, so just popping in to say thank you so much for watching. If you watched up to here, you are a real one. And I hope that this video inspired you to pursue your own business, but not only that, help you get your first customers, because I really do think beta tests are a great way to do that. And I hope that seeing how I did it and how I'm going to do it inspires you and helps you as well. So if you have any questions, please comment them down below, as well as any requests you want to see in future vlogs. And as always, cheering you on, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!